come over here.
No, look at that, people.
2 big dogs in our yard.
Yeah. What are you guys doing in my yard? Where did you come from?
Maybe they're watching it.
Okay, well, come up here because we don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Andre, please. They seem friendly enough. What are you guys doing here? Go home. Go home. Get home. Go home. Go home. Now they're going to the back.
Oh, no. No, come on.
Okay, people. This is August 29th, 2015. As you can see, zucchini relish may be hot. August 2017. There are 3 jars in there with that chili pepper. I had them with silver lids, but you know, people, I've been so stressed out. I took off all the lids and then I forgot which was which. So 3 of them out of all of these, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus a little bit in the fridge of the hot zucchini relish. So 7 jars, 3 of those jars are hot. I don't know which one, so that's why I did it that way. That was the first batch I made, you can see. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. I may do another batch only because I still have zucchini a bit growing in my yard. And then we've got, remember, the blackberry jelly and the blackberry jam. But I've already done blackberry jam, so there's another 6 more jars, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus 6 is 18. So I've done at least 18 jars of blackberry jam, plus whatever everybody's ate so far. Then we've got 6 jars of blackberry juice in terms of 1 pint size, and then 4 large, right? I guess that's all I did. And then because there's lots of nutrients in the blackberry seed, I dehydrated them and ran them through the blender, and so I have like 3 jars of that you can put in cake, bread, crackers, whatever you want, a tablespoon at a time, right? The thing is, people, I'm allowed to have food. I'm allowed to harvest food. I'm going to come back in a minute, but I still have to do tomatoes. Tomatoes are coming. I bought some more pickles yesterday because I went with my son out to go help him with his driving test or whatever. And I came across all these little cucumbers, right? So I bought a whole whack of them, plus they were discounting some, so I bought a whole whack of them. So I'm going to be tomorrow canning pickles, because as fast as I'm making these pickles, the kids are walking off with the jars and they're eating them, and they're eating them fast, right? So I thought, okay, I'll try it again, and I'll probably get anywhere between 10 to 15 jars of pickles, and that will be perfect for me. And they're a different kind of cucumber, you'll see. We know the grapes are coming, which will be grape juice and just a few grapes. The pears are starting to ripen. I'm not going to can because there's not that many, thank God. I don't have to worry about plums, thank God. So I'm coming near the end, but at the end of the day, people, you know, hold on a minute. Okay, so we're going to do a little tomato check here. You can see how many tomatoes there is on this plant. Lots. And you're going to see how many tomatoes are on these plants. You can see lots. Right? You can see that they're ripening, people, so I have to start canning. Right? You can see how many tomatoes are on this plant. And they're starting to ripen, as you can see. Right? And we've got a nice squash back there. And then we're going to go into the greenhouse. We still have cucumbers growing. Ooh, when they do this, they get too big and then they get caught up into the metal. So I got to take that out. Oops, sorry, people. Oh, my. I don't want to... Oh, just hang it down that way. There we go. There's 1. And there's 2. This thing is still producing. This is good. 2 anyway that I can see of. Our black walnut tree is a happy camper. And the one in the greenhouse slash painting room slash X Club is doing well too. So it didn't go into shock, so it's doing very well. Right, and then I have to open up the door, otherwise they get too stressed out in here. And you have to water them every day, people, because if you don't, they begin to wilt. But as you can see, we've got more tomatoes coming. All right, they're all over the place, people. Right, all over the place. As you can see. There they are again. A whole big batch. As you can see. As you can see. Tomatoes are everywhere. As you can see. As you can see. Tomatoes are coming. Tomatoes are everywhere. Even that one up in there, hanging upside down, as you can see. Hold on a minute. Okay, so on to the other part of the video here. I got a phone call from MCFD saying that the house is unsafe because my stairs are unsafe. That there's only screws holding it together. The only thing that I can think of that would possibly warrant such a statement would be this, which is going to be repaired. Now this, I have my neighbor coming over. Cats were scratching on here. So I had a piece of rubber here and it came off. But anyway, you know I'm getting into this basement. Right, so I don't know how the stairs got involved. But this is what my neighbor is going to be coming over on Thursday. We're going to have to pull down this. So I'm going to have to get some tarps and tarp up what I haven't done in here. But I got to go to my neighbor's people and get these 2x4s and this sand for these brick laying in the walkway. But anyway, hold on. Okay. Uncle John's chair. Anyway, people, honest to God, I don't know what is wrong with society. I really, really, really don't. Everybody is schizoing out. Looking for something to point fingers at, but never pointing fingers at their own lives. Okay? Now, this could be an opportunist bringing in a phone call over some screws on stairs. Because I just got a phone call about a half an hour ago from MCFD again over a complaint that the house is unsafe in terms of stairs with screws holding down a railing. Okay. I've been in this house for 7 years, people. Alright? And all in all, my landlady's been on it in terms of she did all the electrical throughout the whole house. She had to do the basement twice because the first guy that came into the basement never even did it. He said he did, but he didn't. And when I discovered that he didn't do it, she got another guy to come in and do it. So all the outlets were changed. Everything was done. Breaker box grounded, made sure everything was good to go. Although my son's having a problem with his light in his room, which could be very well just a fixture. So it's a matter of finding a fixture in a thrift store and replacing the old fixture, or buying a new fixture and replacing it. And if that doesn't work, then it's something else, which would involve more troubleshooting, which would require an electrician, which my landlady at some point would probably take responsibility for because it's more complicated. But it could be as simple as a light fixture. Or it may be something related to the garage because of what's going on underneath that plastic. Now, my neighbor is coming over to help me with the porch in terms of like looking at it, and he's already offered to have some of his family members come and kind of do some repairs for the day because he has material, he knows what he's doing, he is a homeowner, And, you know, he rents out houses himself. So it's not like somebody inexperienced is coming over to look this over for me, right? I'm not dealing with the porch completely on my own. And not only that, but he knows my landlord, okay? And I've already spoken to my landlord's daughter-in-law in regards to having my neighbor call my landlord to relay whatever it is that he sees that needs to be done if we can't do it. If it's cosmetic, great. If it's to the point where the porch is just absolutely no good, he's not going to sit up there and lie to me just to lie. That doesn't make any sense, right? But we're not going to get to that point until I pull down that plastic. Okay. So in the meantime, I've got, now, you know we got this troll network that likes to capitalize off of things that I say. So I put up the little video with, you know, go away jailbird, right? With the drama, saying that I called the police. Well, my daughter's bibbity-bibbity-bibbity-bib, right? Because she's mad because I called the police, so now she's retaliating, right? She's retaliating, people. That's why she called the landlord. Oh, you need to evict my mother because, you know, she's not doing it for me fast enough. And if she's not going to do it for me fast enough, she's not going to, you know, she's just retaliating. She's 22 years old retaliating, right? Because she said, well, there you go. Now maybe you'll work harder and faster. As if I haven't been. Okay. So anyway, I mean, it could have been the cop that, because I told him I had repairs to do. And he said, well, it's the landlord's responsibility. And I'm like, well, yeah, I know. But at the end of the day, you know, I've been in this house for 7 years. And, you know, if it's something that can be done by me to alleviate the stress in terms of just the overall cost of inflation and what the city's been doing, you know, threatening with their $8,000 up to $15,000 bill just to make the neighborhood look rich, not caring where people go after they get them evicted, because it's kind of like in that situation where the city is getting me evicted because they're putting in all this extra stress for me to be spending all this extra time in yard for their benefit, not for the benefit of my family, because my family is imploding under the pressure right along with my landlord, you know, who is like, well, whatever, right? So somebody said to MCFD that there's some screws that are holding the porch together. The stairs, holding the stairs together. And I'm like, well, no, my stairs are fine. The stairs are sturdy. If anything, the only thing that I would do with stairs is because they're like stair, step. There's a gap there. I might take some of this miscellaneous wood and fill in the gaps just so that when you sweep, the stuff doesn't go down, right? It just kind of goes down the stairs, right? Outside of that, the stairs themselves are solid, and that's what I told her, right? I did mention underneath the roof, underneath the porch, I did mention that I'm not alone with that project. I did mention that this person that's, you know, that's working with me on this knows my landlord, and if need be, will call my landlord, right? If he can't help me to correct the problem in general in terms of, you know, safety or whatever it is, right? And so now I got them coming to my house on the 8th because that's their protocol, right? And all I can think about, people, is, you know, there's just too many people out there that are not only troublemakers just for the fact that they can be troublemakers and it gives them a sense of control in their own life, like my stepdad's wife with her bulimia and anorexia and picking constant fights to keep everybody in uproar just so that she could sit back and smile and watch it and egg it on by hitting something so that the octave of whatever the argument is at that time goes higher because she's laughing and like, yeah, you know, just keep fighting. Because she's got absolutely no sense of control of her own life. And that's the only way she can have control, is to control other people and their behavior by bringing in reactionary behavior through arguments and accusations and just the whole 9 yards. Plus, I think there are people that are jealous. Jealous that after 7 years, I have a functioning greenhouse. I have plots of land in here that can produce food versus morning glory weeds and raccoon latrines, right? You know, I'm planting walnut trees, right? We've got firewood, you know, we've got a functioning pond with another pond coming in. We've got sheds that are like coming together and not leaking, people. Because once the porch is done, right, and the other piece of wood that I got for that one wall is done, and everything's sealed, this shed down here isn't going to leak. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to leak. And if I really wanted to, I got some leftover tarp paper that I can tarp over what I've already done, and then go get another $50 worth of shingles and shingle that, and it will even leak less. Right? Which is good, because then I can move all my miscellaneous, you know, tools, screws, right? That's this kind of stuff. Instead of having it sit here, look at that, people. Look at those nails. Those are 3-inch nails, people. 3-inch nails. Half a bucket full. In good shape. So, once the porch is done, they're going in the shed. Right? So that clears out in here. Okay? The point is, you know, people like to cause trouble for whatever reason. You know, just like that person wouldn't, like my youngest daughter's brother, who I haven't seen in years, has never spent no real time in this house as a family member. Just because you can say that she's your half-sister doesn't make you my stepson. Right? Doesn't mean that I'm obligated to you. Never mind you telling me when you walk into my life, all of a sudden that I got to do it your way because you're the boss. No. I had to call the cops to tell him to stop moving my stuff because he wouldn't listen to me, and he was picking a fight with my son, trying to cause trouble. Well, this is the same kind of situation. So whether it was the cops looking around in the garage saying, holy shit, it's a nightmare in there. Fucking right, it's a nightmare in there. It's been a nightmare. It's always a nightmare in there. Even when it's cleaned up. After a while, like I say, homeless people come in. They start rooting around, right? Kids come along and toss a bag here and toss a bag there. You know, sometimes my older daughter will come and will root around and move things around. There's all kinds of crazy crap that goes on in that garage, right? I put things onto shelf, the water starts leaking. Next thing you know it, I'm having to repack 5 boxes because the boxes are completely ruined. You've seen me rebuild a shelf because the shelf got completely ruined. Not by my fault, but by just life. Life, right? Things get old. Okay, they either get repaired or they get rebuilt. One or the other when you're talking about a house. I think I'm coping with it pretty damn good, considering all in all. So, but it's, you know, it's like a crime to want to have food in this world these days, right? I made it where I could grow food on this property. Right? And have a variety of food. It took a period of 7 years to do it. Okay? Put in thousands of hours, thousands of dollars, just thousands of everything. And now that I'm there, and we're at the tail end of just tidying everything up in terms of, you know, I got the extra bricks, I can make that path on the side of the house, so that when it rains, if the kids want to come around for whatever reason, because they go to the front to go get in a car, you know, Marcane parks his car in the front, so he'll walk around. He doesn't have to walk around through a whole bunch of mud, because at some point in the future, there's going to be bricks laid down there, right? I'm just using that as an example. Whereas there's nothing. It's just mud when it rains. So, you know, I bought these pickles, these little cucumbers yesterday, probably enough for about 10, 15 jars. As if I don't, you know, as if I got time to do it. But my kids really like pickles, and I can't afford to buy pickles. It was only costed me $20, all in all, for these pickles. It was 17 I think $17 for the fresher ones, which was probably a bit too much money. And then I got a whole bunch of dollar bags, right? So because they were kind of discounted, some of them, I got to get into them tomorrow, right? I was going to try and get into them today, but I'm not. I'm making room on the counter, and I'm doing laundry, and I'm just, you know, I only have so much energy, people. There's only so much that I can do in a day. So I'm getting ready to do these pickles tomorrow. Plus I got 3 bags of $1 each bag, like for $3. I got Romano tomatoes to make a sauce with and can those up quickly at the same time before mine come in, because I only have one plant out there that looks like it's producing any kind of Romano tomato, right? Everything else is big and round. I got a lot of beefsteak tomatoes out there, right? So, you know, life never used to be like this, where you get purposely evicted out of your house because, one, people are either jealous that you have a house and that you built something in that, around that house, so that your quality of living improves, or that you have a family. Maybe people are jealous that even though my family isn't perfect, you know, for the majority, we're still, like, that's what my middle daughter says. People don't understand why we're still together, you know, because sometimes we argue or whatever, right? Well, it's like Uncle John said, we stick together. That's what we do, people. That's all he ever said over the years. We're a family, we stick together. Don't worry. So I kind of take that philosophy and I just do what I can. I'm pickling cucumbers for my family so that when they want a jar for comfort food, they can go downstairs and they can take the jar with them and they have their comfort food, because there's only so many things that I can do as a mother that can, you know, at this point in life, in terms of their age, that can reinforce that I love them. I'm making the pickles because I love them. It doesn't seem like it's very much, but when they're munching on it, you know, Mom made those pickles, right? And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that are jealous of that because they don't want to take the time to make the pickles for their own kids. Never mind, maybe they don't even have kids. So if they don't even have kids, what would they know what it means to live a life with kids, right? And then have to cope with, you know, corrupt city councils that are pushing vulnerable families out into the streets because they're more interested in their tax dollars than they are interested in about their constituency. Because that's pretty much what it's boiling down to, okay? Right? If I hadn't gone off and bought that wood and just chucked out all Andre's toys, right, and made it bare as a bone out there in the back with nothing for him to do, would the city have shown up? No. They used toys, people, and wood, and a washing machine that was, they knew very well the metal recycling guys were going to get it. It was just a matter of time because they're driving around all the time, right? And they used that as an invitation to come onto the property and to cause trouble. Because again, if this house can go up for sale, right, or if they can get me evicted and have another family move in and pay $2,400 a month, then they can justify the next house that they target. And that's just the reality of it. Right? And the ones that are sitting there thinking that they're safe because maybe they're homeowners or they got big fences where nobody can see what's in their yard, or they got a fence in the back where the city doesn't care if that garbage sat there for 7 years because it's in the back, out of sight, out of mind, even though they go up and down the alley all the time. Like I asked my landlady's daughter-in-law, why are they singling out my yard and not those people right there? I don't know. I said, well, you should ask. You should ask why they're not making them clean up their rat nest that's been sitting there for 7 years. And since they're so interested in people's yards, why don't they go in behind that fence and go see what's behind that fence? But they won't, because I'm the easy target, right? It's called soft target. I'm the woman with the children. I'm a soft target. I can't call racism. The people over there call racism. Oh, the city's picking on us because we're from, I'll just use Fiji for example. And they're picking on us because we're from Fiji. It's racism. Unlike that white woman over there with her mulatto children. Right? So, I'm not doing anything wrong. As far as I'm concerned, I'm doing everything right. I've been putting in full hours, anywhere between 12 to 16 hours a day, almost consecutively. It's amazing that my body is even holding up. My short-term memory is a little off in terms of, you know, what day it is. I know it's the 29th today. I can remember that because I looked on the computer. So I reinforced that date, right? But outside of that, and also yesterday was the 28th, so that was a highlight because my landlady's daughter was supposed to come over, but I had to go do something with my son, so that never manifested itself. I'm not surprised that the social worker called up because people are expecting way too much from me in way too little time with way too little help, because really the only people right now that have been helping me in this yard has been my youngest daughter and her boyfriend. They have been the ones that have been helping me with finishing off Andre's shed, okay, in terms of what Jerry didn't do, all right? They are the ones that have been helping me to move things, right, in terms of removing anything, because I'm throwing out extra buckets that I need, but I'm trying to narrow it because, you see, there's not that many weeds anymore, people, so I don't need as many buckets as I used to, because I would fill up those buckets 10 at a time in terms of weeds, and we're talking bins, okay? 50 bags of Morning Glory when I moved in. People don't want to remember that, though, right? They just want the greenhouse now, and if they can't have it, they don't want me to have it, so they're going to find ways to screw that up, right? And my daughter, my middle daughter, is angry with me because I won't give her Andre's room for her and the baby, because that's Andre's room, right? And, well, he doesn't use it. I said, yeah, no, he does, but, you know, it's not feasible, right? It's just not feasible. I tried to, consider that, but I don't necessarily get along with her on a daily basis every day, because she gets bossy with me. You know, she'll come in and she'll make food, but she doesn't necessarily clean up her bowls and whatever it is that she does. So, you know, I clean the kitchen, she comes in, cooks whatever she does, leaves it. I'm washing her dishes, wiping down the counter, throwing out her food scraps. That's not fair. So, you know, I was reluctant to have her move up here just so that I could become her personal mate, right? So, you know, she's getting a little mad, right? There's different reasons why she's mad, right? You know, and because I am mom, it's easier to take it out on mom. So, in terms of house repairs, you know, like, will be the what? When they took Andre, and he was in foster care for 15 months, I already had people go through my house before I got him back, right? And then someone from GMOI get off my internet when they were trying to get me evicted in 2015 to cover up what happened with Uncle John, right? After Uncle John disappeared, they showed up. Plus, that social worker was saying that she was getting tons of phone calls because they were trying to get Andre taken away from me to cover up what happened to Uncle John. And then, because that little incident with the wart being burned off on Andre's knee, and then Shimei wanted to disinfect it, but she used the wrong solution. She didn't use a peroxide, and said she used a rubbing alcohol, which made him scream out, which made my neighbors over here stand there and videotape me in the yard as I'm working in the yard, talking to Shimei through the window, finding out what's going on. And once she told me what was going on, it was like, Andre, you know, just breathe, calm down, right? It will, you know, because he had just gotten it with, what is it called? Ice, that freezing from the doctor's office, right? So they called. And they jumped in their little boogie van with their cell phone, with me standing there, you know, telling Shimei that she's supposed to use a peroxide, right? In the meantime, there's like all kinds of people around. So that was the second time, right? Well, fourth time, third time. I guess you could say third time. Because I had all these home visits before he even got here, right? And then now, again, because I got the city of Surrey with the whip on the back since June, right? With the list getting bigger, even though I don't know what's on this list other than toys and buckets and maybe wood. Literally, people. And I've walked you through it in terms of my videos. You can go back into the last 2 months and you can see what I've been doing, right? And now I'm narrowed it down to the garage, which we knew I was going to do anyway, because when you go further back into my videos, you'll see the problems I've had in the winter time, but it was too cold to do anything, right? And I'm sorry. I made the priority to plant food, right? I'm sorry I didn't get into the garage the minute that the frost disappeared. I'm sorry I got into the ground and broke the ground and planted food so that I can do canning now as the city's got their whip on my back so that they can project a $1.5 million piece of property as they're forcing out a vulnerable family where they can't afford to go anywhere into anything because the city of Surrey is wiping out its constituency at the expense of bringing in a racist immigrant population that sees the Canadian-born people as the enemy because of the way we are being treated. We don't get good health care, right? We don't. A lot of us don't. Some of us do. I don't. Uncle John didn't, right? He was taken. Next thing you know it, people are trying to force me out of my house. Why? Phoning my landlord, phoning the city, phoning MCFD, and not quitting because I'm open enough to talk about it on YouTube under a foundation, a legitimate foundation that addresses international issues that affects tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people across the continent through geopolitical gentrification, genocide of said groups that are soft targets, which oftentimes are women and children, the elderly, to prop up elitism based on a new and improved immigration population that's coming in with laundering money to buy up these properties right? So that the mayor can get fat with her gold bags sitting, you know, think of like the king of Nottingham with the gold bags in the vault, right? It just doesn't have enough. They want more. Right? In this case, the mayor wants more. Right? So, I am canning pickles tomorrow, regardless. I'm going to make a little bit of tomato sauce and get ready. I can can 2 or 3 jars of my own tomatoes and get ready for the mother load next week. Or the week after when these things really start to ripen. And I'm going to get ready to do grapes. And as I'm doing that, people, I'm going to continue my daily regime of working in the back, gathering up the materials that my neighbor might need or I need. I mean, if it's very something simple, I can do it. But if it requires more extensive help, he's already offered to help and have his family members help. So I'd like to think that he's going to follow through on that one. Or if it's that bad, he will tell my landlord directly that it's just a no-go and, you know, we're looking at having to do something else. I can't speed up that process, people, any more than I can speed up the process of the bathroom, which will be done in a week, right? By Thursday or so, the gasket will be changed, you know, and then by the weekend, the drywall will be cut out. We'll look in the rafters, see what's going on. If things need to be bleached, I'll go in there and do the dirty work. Wouldn't be the first time. I'll bleach everything down, let it dry completely, make sure nothing's leaking, put the drywall back up, fix the other leaky pipe, put the drywall in there, and because we've got paint, we'll paint the bathroom. And recaulk the bathtub or whatever. Right? Can I do that in one day? No. And then by then, Andre's shed will be done. The only thing that needs to be done on his shed is one more shelf, because I like the shelves. Put the door on, and then that one strip there at the back of the roof to protect the shingles from letting the water go backdraft in there, and paint, which I'm not going to be painting. Right? Because there's other things I have to do, like food. Final note, I do this, but I hardly eat any of it. Other people eat it. Out of a jarred jam, I might eat 1 or 2 tablespoons out of the whole jar. You do the math. Okay, people, I'm back. I'm so livid, I am shaking. My kids are getting mad at me because I'm trying to fix things. Saying it's the landlord should be fixing. We need to just leave. Give a 1-year notice and leave. Because I'm trying to say it's not that simple. It's not that simple just to pack up and leave. Especially when you've got nothing to leave with. In terms of any kind of resources, because you have to remember, Uncle John was kind of left me in a really bad state. I gave up like 23 years of my life to look after him, to make sure that he got through, was happy, safe, right? You know what I mean? Viable and vigorous and happy and just the whole 9 yards. I took on his wife, right? Made sure she had some happiness in her last days versus being stuffed off in some old folks home in Victoria and ignored by the Duncan clan. Right? And my youngest daughter, like I said, has been the only one who's been helping me with her boyfriend in terms of outside and that type of thing. Right? Because, you know, my middle daughter doesn't like to help me. My younger son is just stubborn with it. And, you know, I mean, yeah, he'll lift a heavy thing here and there throughout the years. But outside of that, you know, the yard is not his thing, right? Because he didn't care about morning glory and weeds and sand and raccoon poo and that, he didn't, you know, that's not his world, right? That was my world because I had to go out there and deal with the yard. He never had to deal with the yard. I dealt with the yard. Right? So, but in terms of house repairs, you know, my younger daughter is mad at me because I'm wanting to do house repairs. In terms of the bathroom with the drywall and, you know, the toilet and the fucking porch, right? Which I tried to explain to her I'm not doing it by myself in terms of the porch, right? I'm not going to sit up there and start doing crazy shit without proper direction, and that's assuming that I'd even have to do it by myself because he did offer to have some of his family members come over and help. I just have to get it ready and prepared. Right? She doesn't want me to get the wood from next door because she doesn't want me doing anything. Because the city will get all, oh, there's more wood. We told you to get rid of it. So she's scared. She's scared that we're going to get evicted, so we might as well just pack it in, put our tails between our legs, and fucking run out of here. And I'm like, it's not that simple. And she doesn't want me fixing anything. So now she's mad at me. Because I'm fixing. Because I'm going what I can. Now that the work is almost done in this yard, if they can't have it, they don't want me to have it. They don't want me to have that greenhouse. They don't want me to have the walkways or the ponds or the raspberry bushes or the blueberry bushes or the tomato plants or the zucchini plants or anything in this yard. They don't want me to have the house because some of them don't even have a house themselves. Right? And if they do have a house themselves, all they want is the tax base to go higher and higher and higher. So they can maybe push out my fucking neighbor. And he'll have to sell a house just to pay his taxes. I don't know how many houses my neighbor owns, but he owns more than one. I can tell you that right now. He is not a stupid man. He's an experienced homeowner. Okay? I will trust his better judgment. Alright? And because he knows my landlord, I will trust that they will have an honest conversation between themselves, if it's that serious. But outside of that, I'm not jumping to conclusions, people. And I'm willing to put in my fair share so that I don't lose my home. And if my kids can't deal with that fact, and they don't want to live here anymore, and they're afraid to face what's coming, then they can move out, and I will rent those rooms to somebody else before I will lose my home. That's like being told you can't grow food because you're not allowed to have food. And since you grew food, now we're going to punish you and kick you out so that you don't have food in the next location you go to because we took up 7 years of your fucking life and made it so that you don't have a life anymore, so that when you get to the next location, you just die. That's what my kids are asking me to do because I can't provide them some $4,500 fucking monster home that's pristine. They want me to go into $2,400 rent for the same kind of house with the same electrical problems, the same plumbing problems, the same whatever problems, and I'll have to start all over again. Been there, done that. Don't want to do it, people. I'm tired. Like I said, I looked after Uncle John for 23 freaking years. Who do you think did the work? Just as my kids benefited from that work, so did Uncle John. We were a family. And the city of Surrey, with their phantom freaking list that I still don't have, is destroying my family right along with Fraser Health and their corrupt employees with a funky bank situation that thinks it can just do what it wants. With all the little trolls hanging around, calling MCFD. Because if they can distract away from Uncle John, they just might get away with it. So they can go do it to somebody else. And after all the Caucasians are gone, all the old Caucasians in their houses are gone, torn down, made into monster homes, or made into condos, or made into high-rises. Like I said before, who is going to be the next target group as the taxes are out of the roof and these homeowners start losing their homes because of that, because of taxes?